Growing up, my parents always encouraged us kids to think about a religious or priestly vocation. And so it was something that was always in the back of my mind, not in a sense of pressuring, but in a sense of encouragement. I can remember a lot of times growing up in a rural parish, driving away from the church, and my mother would say, "Look how happy Father Augustine is," really presenting those positive examples of happiness within a religious and priestly vocation. And at other times they would encourage us by asking us what we wanted to do as we grew up. And you know, it was an idea of, you know, we'd make our litany of things we'd like to do. And my parents would always conclude that litany of ours with, "Well, you know, you could be a priest or religious." And so it was a gentle encouraging, not anything that I felt pressured in. And so as I began to really think about what God was calling me to in my life, I decided that I needed to be in an environment that fostered it. And so I went to a Catholic college, Benedictine college, and really was focusing in on that idea of being a monk and a priest. As I approached graduation, my senior year, that idea began to fade a little bit in my life. And so I felt more called to the married vocation. And I went out and worked for a year and a half, and the vocation director for our community would call me up every now and again and encourage me to come up. And so one weekend during the summer, after I had been working for about a year, our vocation director encouraged me to come up, and so I did. And it was really an opportunity to get him off my back more than understand what God was calling me to do. But that weekend was transforming for me. It really highlighted in my life an understanding of where God was calling me in the sense of the peace and joy that I was experiencing in my visit to the Abbey. And so I came back another weekend, found myself at the Abbey another weekend, and at the end of this weekend had asked for an application to the monastery. And through that process of discerning and understanding what God was calling me to, I do remember one specific moment where I was home on a weekend helping my dad around the house, fixing up the house. And when we were finished for the day, getting cleaned up, he asked me whether I was still speaking or thinking of a religious vocation. And I said, "You know, Dad, I really don't think so. I think God is calling me to the married life." And he stopped me for a second, and he said, "Jim, can I still pray for it?" And you know, it's one of those things where, you know, how do you answer your dad when he asks you that question? I said, "You know, Dad, you can pray for it, but I don't think it'll do any good." Well, God had other plans for me, and I remember, you know, asking for that application that weekend, and all of a sudden feeling sick to my stomach, and went out to my brand new vehicle. You know, I had everything I thought I wanted, and almost got sick to my stomach. And it was really an instance of needing to step back and realizing, okay, no, there is joy in this. I'm finding peace and joy in this sense of answering God's call to the monastic life and then eventually the priesthood. And so for me, it was really the sense of encouragement from my family, and then also understanding that relationship I had with God and the joy I found in that relationship. And from there, God did His work in my life.
For information on the priesthood or religious life, log on to www.ewtn.com/religiouslife.